Okay, so I'm
Or
going
use
to
some kind of a
repeat that
cheat
to
sheet
everyone
somewhere.
who didn't listen. If you see, you can currently see on my screen that all the skins are gray, and it's looked like it's the team race scoring, but with no colors and no scores and no players. If this happens, that means that someone has spectated a custom team race, has not reloaded their game, and has joined the spectator mode of the arena without waiting for the start procedure to start. So if you are spectating the race and you have this bug, leave the race, leave the spectator mode, reload the game, and wait for the instructions to join again.
We go 5 seconds across the start line. I
Yeah.
think
And there we go.
the Italians had a fairly strong start there. And we've definitely got Charizard over on the right hand side is going to take advantage when the shift comes in.
Yeah.
Um,
Seems like we're going to have a strong right-hand shift here.
Yeah, for sure. But you've got Ferran is also taking advantage over on this side, and then Rocco and Seabear. So Rocco for the Italians, but Ferran for Sweden. So it's not too mixed up so far. Rocco's put a nice penalty on Seabear in the attack, which is going to put them behind. And now, now I'm saying the Italians have got a strong position. SGR88 is showing on the scoreboard as first place, but with the direction the shift is going, I'm just not convinced that SGR88 has got much advantage at all. It looks to me like Charizard, Gata, and Rocco have got strong first three here, which would close out the race straight away.
Yeah, teams are already battling it out. For me, another good strategy is just fleet racing, at least for the first upwind, and not losing time with all these big maneuvers while trying to penalize the competitors.
Yeah, it's a very good point. You see some less experienced players putting too many tacks in, trying to cover boats too often, and focusing too hard on slowing down the other boats rather than going fast, particularly in the 4v4.
Yeah.
You've got 8 boats here. If you can just fleet race fast and get yourself to the windward mark in a clean lane or in the right shifts, that can be a better advantage often.
Yes, because having at least 2 boats in the top 3 in this composition is quite critical, I would say. So,
yeah,
Italy's are in a good position at the moment.
I'm saying Italy has got 4 boats in the top 4 right now, so
Yeah.
this is a strong start.
It doesn't get any better than this, so.
The only thing that the only thing that Sweden can do at the moment is try and get hold of 2 Italian boats, and SGR88 is close enough to do that, as well as Fatan.
Yeah.
Possibly Ferran as well. If they can play it smart downwind and not get mixed up with each other, then they can potentially get 2 boats.
Seems like a great opportunity for GL77 to do a mark trap, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't see them do a mark trap at the windward mark.
He would just set free the top 3 boats, and then the rest is smooth sailing.
Okay, they've let the Swedes get a bit of clean air there without the mark trap. I'm not sure. Let's see. Can SGR88 get anything on Charizard or Rocco? They're close enough. Yeah, they're not playing a great move here though, because they're fighting too much with JL77 and not concentrating on the boats in front.
Yeah.
And at this point, you really need to be playing forwards rather than backwards.
Exactly.
I think Fatahan is the only one at the moment that can get anywhere close enough to the top 3 Italians.
Yeah, and most of the fleet isn't even in the dark spots where we got the gusts, which would eventually help them to catch up on the leading boats.
Yeah, we've got all 3 Italians around the leeward gate now. I think that's going to be a clean win for the Italians. A couple of mistakes there from Sweden, and it's just let the Italians get ahead. Looks to me like there's a left shift, a lot of left shift coming upwind.
Yeah, a slight left shift, and then I think it will turn to right-hand shift if I read the minimap correctly.
Yeah, we've still got 3 Italians ahead anyway. The Swedes sort of headed to the left-hand side, or to the right-hand side a bit more, like SGR 88. I'm just not convinced they're going to get any leverage at all because the wind's going to keep coming left. Varane is currently the only one who looks anywhere close enough, I think. But the Italians are doing a good job at the front of just closing it up with the wind shadow. 3 boats in a line and forcing the Swedes to either go in their shadow or take a lane much further on.
Yeah, it is safe to say Italy has 100% control now, or the fleet.
Yeah, very nicely controlled. That's one of the things you see a lot more from these more experienced teams. It's just being able to put the boats exactly where they need to be. They're not really fighting too much. They're just putting the boats where they need to be and controlling the fleet upwind. So there's no way that the other team can get any leverage or get close enough to attack them downwind. This is our 3rd race, right? So that'll be a match point for the Italians.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it just yet because we could get a disconnect or something.
Yeah, don't want to jinx it, but it seems like we have 3-0 for Italy here.
It's the second time Kevin wants to jinx it tonight. He was already hoping for disconnects earlier. We'll be taking a short break, 2-minute break after this race. We'll be asking every player in Italy and in Sweden and as spectators of this race in the arena to reload their games and wait for the instructions for the next race. This is just so that everyone, including the stream, can have the proper scoreboard.
Italy have got, or rather the Swedes have got no shadow on Italy at the front. I'm just watching JL77 and SGR88 fighting for last place, which is the only fight left here, but it's not going to influence the outcome of the match. It'll still be an Italian win. And JL77 jibes on the starboard and SGR88 have to take a penalty. So that'll give Italy 1, 2, 3, 7 probably.
Yeah, there's still a battle going on for the last boats.
Interestingly, JL77 gave the penalty, but then gave up the left-hand side advantage and let SGR88 get the shadow on and take that. But now they're fighting back the other way.
I think he's just enjoying their win. He knows it's a guarantee win, so he's just battling it out without stressing.
Oh, yep.
One last penalty,
one last penalty for Sweden.
Okay, and the start can be given.
Yes.
Great,
And
let's
we're
go.
up.
What's your tactics on the start line with the Turkish squad?
So,
yeah, my on a committee boat?
Yeah, I think I would stay nearby the committee boat and then try to get my speed up to max in the last seconds and have a clean start.
Yeah, this is nice. It's quite nice in the laser to try and put your boat in front of the other boats early before the line and just use
Yeah,
that
and
strong
then
wind
you can
shadow just to
control
slow them
them
down.
exactly. Yeah. And yeah, now we have gust and like strong wind at this race. When we have light wind, it's much more complicated to stay in that
Yeah.
position and control the other boats.
So with the strong wind, it's also tactically strong to take the pin end and do a port start. It looks like we've got one Italian boat potentially doing that. No, it's Filippo. He's coming back now onto a starboard start, just taking a penalty from one of the Swedes.
Yeah,
He's got a nice clean line in the middle.
yeah. So we have one Sweden boat left behind. Seberg late to departure at the moment.
And two Italians getting stuck behind on the start line. And Habiba are having to cross behind Filippo. Filippo again getting a bit mixed up with Movimento, and now Alocamore again. Is he going to cross? No, he's going to tack underneath. So it's looking to me like the left shift has already started to come in, and it'll probably neutralize a little bit and then go further left. Sorry, further right. Seeing the Italians trying to get over to that right-hand side of the course immediately. But Habiba is tacked on top of
Friendly fire, yeah.
Yeah, not a good move. That's just slowing them down. Alocamore is in a fairly strong position with both Filippo and Habibro to control those two. So even worst case, if the Italians can get Movimento and Gatta ahead, they've still got two boats in the pocket. Which in 4v4, as long as you can keep two boats behind you, then you still got something to hold on to. But it's not looking like either team has got a strong lead at the moment.
Yes, it's quite in the middle actually. But I would say Gatanuda is controlling the left tech group, port tech group, sorry. And we have Alcamore leading the right bank.
Yeah, Gatanuda is doing a fairly good job of just sticking it on VMG here, holding out Fatahan and Swede Sailor. And now Swede Sailor has had to put the tack in because he was falling into Gatta's wind shadow. But the Swedes got quite a good position here in kind of 2-3-4 region. If they can keep hold of that, Swede Sailor's looking quite good to potentially get around the mark in first place.
So should we expect a mark trap from Gatanuda here? Seeing the Swedes are coming in the leading group.
If Gatanuda can take two penalties here, it'll be really strong. And he's missed the first one and let the second one go. Yeah, at this stage he's probably going to keep pushing forwards and try and slow both these boats down. Because the Italians aren't looking particularly good at the back of the fleet. If the Swedes can get a Locomore free ahead of Movimento, then they're in a great position.
Yeah.
He might
And
be
for this
just
boat, the
on his
wind shadow is quite short as well, so...
Yeah, we're talking like 40 meters wind shadow.
Yeah.
And even with this short downwind, if you're just at the edge of that 40 meters, you can still get away sometimes.
Yeah.
And we see that with Movimento and Alocamore. Alocamore is just on the edge of that wind shadow, and I think Alocamore is still going to be able to just ride the shadow a bit and get down to the leeward gate, still ahead. It's going to be a bit of a fight going around the mark.
Ah! He hit the mark.
Yep.
Yeah, so as we were saying, controlling this boat is never easy, especially if you're under this much of pressure.
And there's this huge difference between the upwind and the downwind on the Ilka. You have these slow maneuvers on the upwind, but then as soon as you go downwind, it's a much more nervous boat.
Yes.
And we could see it with this unfortunate
Yeah.
penalty on foot by touching the mark.
I
They
think Komor here is in the fourth place, is riding Movimento to the 9 line, and he's tacking on him. So, good job.
There's an interesting battle going on in the middle of the course there with Gatanuda, Fatahan, and Ballista 71, where they've forced Fatahan, the Italians have forced Fatahan to put in several tacks there and slowed down, which has brought Movimento back into the game a bit more.
Yeah.
And kind of pushed the Swedish part of that fleet back together.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think now it's potentially
Finally,
giving the Italians an advantage. The Italians are doing a fairly good job here of what I mentioned earlier on, of just keeping 2 boats behind them. Because 1, 2, 7, 8 is a losing
yep.
position.
In a 4v4, as long as you have 7-8, you're not going to win this round.
yeah. And what if they're finished as they are now? 1, 2, 6, 8. It's a win for Sweden, isn't it?
Let's
Yeah.
do the maths. That's 10, 17 points. And the total for 4v4 is 36, so yep, that is a winning.
Yeah.
The last Italian boat is Habibro, who is currently behind the 2 Swedish boats. I think at this point, with the laser downwind, I would just get all the Italians to stop.
And it's
Kill
going
the
to be a 2 versus 1 between Phaeton, Seabear, and Habibro. Ah, no.
But the other 2
Teammates are
Italians
waiting,
stopping.
so things are getting.
Interestingly, Movimento has got the wind shadow on Alocamore in 2nd place. So this is also very strong. If Movimento can break up that
yes.
1-2 and kill Alocamore, that just gives them a stronger position. And so they've played this fairly well tactically and left 3v2 at the back, while Movimento pushes forwards and puts the pressure on them. It also means that neither of those Swedish boats can come back and help.
Yeah, it was a good move by Movimento.
The Italians have lost Fatahan at the back though. They split up too early. The Swedes split up too early, and Fatahan has gone ahead, which now is going to give the Swedes 1, 2, 4 and a clean win.
Yeah, so it's 1-2 for Swedes.
Yep, so that's a
Wow,
Swedish win
great
confirmed.
job,
Great job,
by
yeah, wow.
Seabear. 2 penalties for the Italian teams, Ballista 71 and Gatanuda. So
Yeah, this was nice. Very nice.
it's a win for Sweden.
1,
think
2,
maybe the,
4, 6 for Sweden, and 3, 5, 7, 8 for Italy.
Yeah, I think maybe the Italians weren't thinking closely enough about the position numbers and what they needed to play for. Quite a lot of the time in the laser, it's really important to have a strong communication and sense within the team of what plays you're aiming for and where you need to put particular boats, and just focus on that hard. Next up, then, the last race. That gives us 3-1 to Italy. 1 race to go.
1 race to go, and the last race is the F50 in a 3v3. So for the F50, we know how much the start and the first reaching a mark is important to have a good position in the rest of the race. Confirmation of the score coming right up.
Just looking at the chat in Twitch, Zomo reckons that good team race boats are Barco and Far East and the F18. So maybe there's some tips for next year.
Yeah, I'm not
anybody team
convinced
race?
for the Barcolana. You know, I think the
No,
Far
I'm not
East
convinced either.
the Far East is nice. It's a nice boat. Yeah, I have no opinion on the Far East, but for the F15, I don't understand the hate around the F18, sorry. I personally like the F18, so I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it as much. The Far East is in team race is kind of like a mixture between J70 and laser. The problem is downwind. There's not much to do. The wind shadow it's not strong like the J70, and because of the angle of it, you haven't got as much tactical advantages going downwind, and a lot of it is in the upwind part of the course. But I kind of feel like if you're going to do Far East, the J70 is much better for team racing anyway. So why not just stick to J70?
To offer several different boats. We might have several J70 and then maybe one Far East in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we have our teams, so we're ready to go for this last match of this evening.
Will Sweden manage to clutch up a second point against Italy?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what are we on?
yeah.
Love to see a
Actually,
three
Sweden's
two
a
finish here.
decent team. Yeah, I haven't, I haven't been able to watch their matches during the group phases. So
Well, you better start
No, they've
studying
got
them
a
because,
slightly.
yeah,
yeah,
you're playing
actually,
against them
yeah,
tomorrow.
yes. Thank you for reminding that.
They've got slightly stronger squad in this F50 with Elokamor, Harding, and Rommel. Possibly three best boats in their squad, up against Filippo, Charizard, and JL77. 10 seconds to go.
Yeah.
It looks to me like there's two of the Swedish boats really late to the line, and the Italians are spot on. Well, just about spot on. Haven't
Ah,
got a
Yeah,
clean
this is
one, two,
going to
three.
be, yep.
clean start. No penalty. No OES.
So, well, we'll likely see one of the
Yeah,
Italians
sorry.
dropping back to kind of put some chaos onto the Swedish side, slowing down to let his teammates go fast in front. Did he manage to put this penalty on Alakamor?
Yes, he did.
Does look
Just
like
by
it.
the mark.
Yeah, I think at the moment Harding maybe is the only one that can do anything
Oh,
here. He's put Rommel ahead, so if Rommel can potentially get into the Rommel's
yes.
the only one that can break it up.
Yes, he's all alone against two Italian players.
He's unfortunately going to have to put
And
attack in at the boundary here.
and if you have played this boat before, it's really not easy to catch up.
And
Especially on
once
the
you're ahead,
downwind, the wind shadows are at the back of the boat as they're faster than the wind. So it's not helping to Swedish at the moment.
what do you think? What would you be doing in this situation if you were Rommel?
Yeah, I would just push the limits of the course marks and then just try to catch up with the first two
Yeah, I
boats.
think
There's nothing else to do, I think.
the
As
other
you're
tactic they
limited in the
can
race
play.
course, you can just risk it
Oh,
by
hang on.
going to
We've
the
had
wing.
friendly fire here from
Yeah,
Filippo and
I,
JL77 tacking on top.
I was not expecting that.
That slowed them down just enough that it's put Rommel in play. So I was going to say the other tactic that the Swedish can play is just to split the course, and when they're going upwind, even downwind, send one boat down one side of the course and one boat down the other, and just hope that they get some kind of leverage in the in a shift, or alternatively that the Italians make a mistake and try and cover them, and try and cover the wrong
Uh,
boat.
what do you think they're saying to each other now? The first two boats, Italians, because they're like moving
They are
quite
perfectly,
synchronized.
yeah, perfectly in sync. That was like a ballet.
It's like a beautiful dance,
Yeah.
exactly. I was gonna say.
As long as they don't step on each other's toes. Rommel is right there. If JL77 makes a mistake, Rommel's going to go straight through.
Yeah, Rommel's catching up.
Interesting tactic. Rommel decided to go for the right-hand turn because JL77 is going to be forced to take the tack off the boundary. side with not having to take the tack, or JL77 is going to have to tack right in front of Rommel.
And he would just bear away. Ah,
Okay, he's gone for
wasn't
dial
enough.
down.
Wasn't enough.
I think that's another mistake from the Italians. JL77 decided to tack and put the pressure straight on Rommel and let Alocamore go through the middle. If this shift stays in the left of it, it might give Alocamore enough to catch up on
Yeah.
JL77. I'm not convinced it's going to, but it's their only chance.
Maybe Velista 71 could have slowed down a bit to put some pressure on. Yeah, he's doing
Here
it.
he comes.
As I'm saying, yeah. Just to be saying, I'm not talking to the Italians. It was just a coincidence.
Somebody's listening to the stream and they're just taking tactics from us.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's going to be a
Once
1-2 for the
again tacked
Italian
on
team,
top
yeah.
of JL77. It was almost a mix-up again. Filippo tacked on top of JL77 and that last tack up to the mark almost put JL77 off the ley line.
Oh.
But
I think it's over for Sweden.
I think it's now traditional that I have to say, unless one of them disconnects, and that's over.
You love jinxing the game, don't you, Callan?
He thinks it in a positive way. If he didn't say anything, then they would have disconnected.
Yeah.
I'll keep quiet next time, and maybe they will.
Yeah. It's a victory for Italy, but kudos to Swedish as well. I would say it's quite
strong
close.
performance. You know, I think going into that, I was probably expecting a 5-0 for Italy, but Sweden held that up very respectively. You know, strong team, and definitely the underdog coming into it, but they've held it together.
Yep, so 1, 2, and 5 for Italy, 3, 4, and 6 for Sweden. Italy taking the win and confirming their top position in Group B, so they will be going against Japan next week, as soon as the fixture is set, while so far it's going to be Poland in second place of Group B, and they will be going up against France next week as well. So coming up is France versus Poland and Italy versus Sweden. Unless something amazing happens and reshuffles entirely the groups, these are the teams that look like are going to make it to the semifinals. But before that, we do have one last match in Group B, opposing Sweden and Turkey. Turkey will want to beat them to kind of, well, get third place in the group, and Sweden will battling for the third place as well. And yes, excellent racing tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks Kevin and thanks Omer for the commentary.